Hello, wrestling fans, and a very happy new year to you all here on the WWE Universe. Now, of course, we've got a lot to look forward to in WWE in 2017 with the lights of the upcoming UK's champion to be crowned, the very first in WWE history. We're going to have a champion based from based off British wrestling, which is very exciting times for the WWE, and more particularly the main show of January, the Royal Rumble. The road to WrestleMania begins towards the end of the month. But let's focus on something else that may very well become a massive popular event in 2017 if ITV please, and I beg this from ITV, please do more of this, because I mean, come on, you wouldn't just be doing a New Year's special and then just forget about it for like another 30 years. You've got to at least bring it back permanently at some point. I mean, come on, don't you think 30 years is enough to wait to bring wrestling back on your channel? I mean, come on, look at the British wrestling scene. It's grown over the years. And especially from what the viewers thought, they very much enjoyed this New Year special. I'm talking about the world of sports and wrestling, because I was checking this out yesterday, and obviously last night, because this went out last night live. Well, not live, because actually it was recorded on the 1st of November, and it was recorded in the Greater Manchester, which they refer to in the show as the World of Sports Arena. I'm not too sure if this was indeed the arena from the original show, but I would assume it may very well have been. But of course, we obviously had a new general manager for the company, for the brand, who is brand new, and he was paying homage to some of the late greats. They were also paying tributes to some of the great wrestlers, such as Big Daddy, Giant Haystacks, just some of the names that they mentioned who had appeared in the show. Also, they referred to Davey Boy Smith, British Bulldog, who also used to be on the show. And also, in case most of you wrestling WWE fans were unaware, William Regal and also appeared on the show. Alongside Robbie Brookside, who are going to be if I'm right, the commentators for the UK's Championship Tournament event on the WWE Network later on this month, which is very exciting because, you know, these guys actually started in World of Sport and eventually became a part of, eventually they have now become a part of WWE's UK's Championship stuff, which is pretty good to see how William Regal has grown over the years since his early days in World of Sport, when World of Sport was a massive thing on the ITV network back in the day. But obviously now they've got some new faces, and also they had a bit of a surprise appearance because Davey Boy Smith's very own son, David Boy Smith Jr., made an appearance. The last time many of us saw him was when he was in WWE, and he was working under Mr. McMahon's brand, really, and he was a part of the Hart Dynasty, which obviously didn't. Well, it worked out for about a year or so, but then it kind of died down, and to the point that they kind of didn't do much anymore after that one massive tag team title bout here, and after those rivalries between Mr. Bret Hart and Mr. McMahon, he kind of went out of the scene of WWE. So this is actually pretty good that they've used him in the right manner for once, you know. Anyway, so focusing on the obviously the commentators, as I mentioned, probably have mentioned before, we had British wrestler Alex Shane, who, again, never saw him in action before, so this is going to be completely brand new, hearing his voice for the first time, and obviously the legend himself, good old JR Jim Ross. Many WWE fans know exactly who this guy is, because I wouldn't have to be needed to tell you the amount of stuff he's done for WWE. I mean, look at some of the stuff he's commentated for that show. It's Monday Night Raw, WrestleMania. Some of those, especially the Stone Cold chant. Come on. You don't want me to explain that, do you? But anyway, let's focus on the matches here. So it starts off with Dave Matstuff versus Gardo, who Gardo was kind of the he's kind of the World of Sports version of Dusty Rose, pretty much, because he has that similar sort of Dusty Rose character, especially from looking at him, and he has this, has these like moves that are very similar to how Dusty Rose came out in his reign of during his time in the WWE. And it was nice to see that we had a wrestler paying homage to Dusty Rose, because obviously it was only 2 years ago now that we lost Dusty Rose, which was very sad to see, because he was a very well recognized character in the WWE. So it was really sad to see. But however, though, these two would battle off for the World of Sports Wrestling Championship, which is to crown their first champion of the Revive. And obviously it kind of went in a bad situation, because obviously Dave Morstuff had his sort of friends with him that kind of caused Dargano the championship, and then it was from there on that the general manager decided that there should be another championship match later in the evening. And it was because of that they've decided to start a series of matches to decide who should qualify in a battle royale later in the evening. And the first of these matches would be a fatal four-way ladder match, which is pretty much exactly as I thought it was going to be. It kind of felt like exactly like Money in the Bank, pretty much, because quite ironically, they had a briefcase on top near the top of the ring, just like Money in the Bank. So in a way, you could have just said that this is a Money in the Bank ladder match in a way, because that was what it was basically was. It was basically four men battling for a briefcase. So it kind of almost felt like a final four-way Money in the Bank ladder match, even though originally you would have 6 or 7 battling for a briefcase. But here you've got 4. And these 4 individuals are obviously Kenny Williams, Sam Bailey, CJ Banks, and Delicious Danny Hope. And I thought that was a weird name to call yourself a wrestler. Delicious, like, okay. He thinks the ring is delicious. Yeah, but yeah, I don't want to get into the weirdness of the name. It's just, yeah, it's kind of spooky, really, just to think of a wrestler who wants a ring for dinner. Yeah, but anyway, either way, they put on a good show. They did. There was a lot of high flying in this ladder match because, of course, if you've got high flyers in a ladder match, of course you're going to get some sort of high flying action right in front of you. And Kenny Williams was certainly one of those high flyers in this match, and he certainly went to lengths in order to get himself the briefcase. So, and quite ironically, the way he won it is by pushing CJ Banks by using his foot, which is very similar to how CM Punk won the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 25 in its 25th anniversary. So I thought that was really clever. He was paying homage to CM Punk there by using his foot to push someone off the ladder in order to get to the top of the ladder and get the briefcase. Very clever homage there. And then, of course, we had the third match, which was the tag team match, which obviously the winning team would enter the battle royale. So, of course, we have the Coffey brothers versus Rampage and Austin Smith. And the Coffey brothers are really good. They kind of feel like the new generation of the Demolition, almost. Very, very close to Demolition. Because of the fact that, and they were also very close to the Usos because of the fact that their face paints are very similar to how the Usos do theirs. Because if you look at the Usos face paint, they have like one of the Usos has one left side, and then you have the other Uso having a face paint on the right side. So it's very similar how they've taken some elements of the Usos and Demolition in a way, which I thought was really cool. And it was really good. It was really good. Really good tag team, to say for the least, and they also got the win, which is nice for them. Yeah, the Coffee Brothers are certainly going to make themselves well known in world of sport if the series progresses. I'm hoping there's going to be more to come. Please, ITV, make more, please. And then, of course, we have the first women's match, which obviously this is not to qualify for the Battle Royal. So this is the only match that doesn't have anyone entering the Battle Royale, which is the first women's match where we had a big lady called Viper, which is pretty cool. And then you also got Alexa Rose, who also was inspired by Trish Stratus, because particularly the stretch she does during the match is very, very much like Trish Stratus does when someone tries to go for a clothesline. And the fact that she was trying to fight her way into the match but didn't work out because of how big Viper is. Trust me, Viper is a very, very big lady for the ring, and obviously she was the first woman to win the first women's contest on the match, which is very good. Well done to her. And also, quite ironically, she came out with a snake, which is very similar to, of course, Jake the Snake Roberts, who also came out with a snake back in the WWE days. So you see how some of these wrestlers are taking homage by some of the big names in WWE. You can see where they're taking their inspiration from. And then you have El Erato, who's probably taken his inspiration from Kalisto, I believe. From the looks of things, it definitely felt like Kalisto when I was watching him in the ring. It definitely felt like him. And then you have Zach Gibson, who obviously he's probably the most hated person in British wrestling, as it's been described. And more importantly, he kind of, to me, he felt like he felt very close to. He almost feels like Baron Corbin in a way, because of the fact that he goes outside of the ring and he hits El Erito's head to the commentating table, and the fact that he takes the action outside of the ring just like Baron Corbin does. So it's interesting that he's took his inspiration from Baron Corbin, which I thought was really cool. And he also has his own unique abilities as well, which is nice. But obviously, El Erito would be the last person to enter the Battle Royale. And obviously, he had a bad shoulder heading into the match. And then, of course, the Battle Royal would take place where we would have Charlotte Samuels, John Moss, who are the two guys who caused Dargo the World of Sports Championship in the first match, alongside El Dorado, Joe, and the Coffee Brothers, as well as Davey Boy Smith Jr., who was also unlucky to win the Battle Royale, but at least Dargo managed to win the Battle Royale and became number one contender to have the championship match. Which, in the way, it's kind of full circle, because it started with Dave Martstiff and Gardell for the championship, and now it's going to end with those two. But obviously, he had a bit of a leg injury because of the two his two buddies. Dave's buddies managed to do damage to the leg, and obviously he refused to give up. He literally came out and decided to fight it, because you know what? He thought, this could be my only chance to get my hands on this championship, so I'm going to fight for it. And quite surprisingly, he did, and he came out successful. He manages to defeat Dave and get revenge on him, after what happened right at the beginning of the show, and he ends up winning the World of Sports Championship, and he becomes the champion. And quite ironically, it ended with the fireworks with him as the champion. But of course, now that he's the champion, it begs the question: is this a confirmation that there's going to be more World of Sports Wrestling? I truly do believe, and I actually believe this, now that they've crowned a champion, I'm pretty certain they're going to bring it back. I am pretty certain they're going to bring it back, because why would you... Now, seriously, think about this. Why would you have a World of Sports Championship match and crown a champion if you weren't going to bring it back? It doesn't add up. It really doesn't add up, because you wouldn't just have the top champion of the brand be crowned on the pilot show if you weren't going to do more of it. So, in my opinion, I'm very convinced that at some point this year, I would like to believe that we'll probably see it around maybe Easter time, maybe sometime in the summer. I'm hoping it's going to be around there that we'll probably see more World of Sports, and if so, hopefully we'll get to see more British wrestlers. Hopefully some more faces will debut on the show, and we'll get loads of new wrestlers debuting as the show returns and becomes permanent to Saturday nights, and it has a series and stuff. Because trust me, I think it will do really well. Because I mean, think about it. We could do with, just think about it. Think about the amount of wrestling fans who are going to be so happy to see the show return permanently to Saturday afternoon, every week. I think it'll definitely be a smash hit, no question about it. It will be definitely the one to watch on Saturdays, even though it might become a bit of a competition to Doctor Who. If it was to air at Easter, it will be a bit of a worry if you're a Doctor Who fan, because of course you're going to be deciding between the two, which one you're going to watch the most, World of Sport, or is it going to be Doctor Who? So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze to squeeze in the amount of viewing time that you want for both shows. But yeah, I reckon it will definitely do well. I really do. I reckon World of Sports Wrestling, maybe they'll probably won't put it against Doctor Who, but then again, they'll probably put it in the summer when Doctor Who's finished, and then it'll be one of these like summer events where it will come on every summer or into the autumn type of season. I think that would definitely work. So yeah, either way, I really enjoyed the pilot, and I've truly, and also think about it, Jim Ross definitely works with the show, and I truly do believe that Jim Ross certainly is probably the right commentator for the entire show. If it comes back permanently, I think we definitely need Jim Ross there, because Jim Ross, come on, he knows how to be a commentator. He's done it for years. This guy knows how to do a commentary for a wrestling match. So you don't really need to tell him what to do. He knows exactly what he's doing. So yeah, I'm very convinced there'll be more to come later in the year. I'm very convinced that we'll probably hear something very, very soon about when World of Sports will return, and when that happens, you'll certainly be hearing it on this show when that news starts dropping. But in the meantime, you'll be able to, if you are in the UK and you want to catch up with it, you'll be able to catch up on it on the ITV Hub. I'll put a link in the description. If you have an account, or if you're going to create an account, then be sure to go on the site, create an account, and go and check it out if you want to see it over and over again, the return of World of Sports Wrestling. But in the meantime, be sure to stay tuned later in the month, as we'll be discussing as we'll be looking at who will be crowned the UK's champion, the very first WWE UK's champion, as well as who will become the 2017 Royal Rumble winner and who will headline WrestleMania as WWE champion for SmackDown and Universal champion for Monday Night Raw, as the road to WrestleMania will commence from the end of this month as we prepare for the big show of the year. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in my next review shows. See you then, and a very happy new year to you all.